right, the Justice card. That is our inspiration for today's clearing. If you haven't seen it already, you can go over to my shorts, but my shorts videos, not my shorts, like the outfit or the clothing item. So we did a little bit of a shuffle and out popped the Justice card. So we're going to look today at our blocks to our discernment, our blocks to knowing and feeling confident in what is right for us and what is wrong for us. I think self-doubt is sort of the opposite of that Justice card, right? That justice the justice who, you know, on here is like, yes, I have the scales, but I also have the sword, and the sword represents air. It's air energy, and air energy is thought. It is mind. So that ability to know your own mind, to balance for yourself, again, what is right for me, what is wrong for me. And when we checked our numbers, we were 0% open to that energy of the Justice card, and we were 100% blocked to it. So let's dive into that right now. Again, this is called spiritual response technique. I am using my dowsing pendulum and the series of charts to determine what are those blocks and how can we get rid of them so that, again, we can fully embody and embrace that justice energy in our own lives. And again, for me, it's like really about self-confidence, self-assuredness in our decision-making, in our discernment. So we have chart 6C, which is another chart that really covers a bunch of just gross energies, our paralyzed will. Oh, what percent have we been experiencing a paralyzed will? 100%. And so much of this, it just immediately popped in my mind as like external factors. We are exposed to so many different beliefs and ideas and so many of other people's judgments. It's so hard sometimes to stand in our own, to be certain in our own selves, to be certain in our own desires, wants, beliefs, because there is so much noise, so much overexposure to what other people think, to what other people want. We are constantly being influenced. If you were, you know, if we got to experience even 50% less of the exposure to all of these things in the outside world, I think we would be 50% more open to our own discernment. We wouldn't doubt ourselves. We wouldn't question ourselves. And so let's dive into this. Like, what can we do to help our will not be so paralyzed? And again, imagine that, right? It's like, here is my will. Here is my own drive. Here is my own passion. Here are my own thoughts. Here's my own discernment. And it is being paralyzed. And so again, my feeling is it's all these external factors paralyzing it. But what's going on here? What is the root of this paralyzed will? So we can hopefully release it and let it go. Yeah, no, I'm not wrong. It's like it's all of the other beings in our soul family and in what we call our oversoul, that like soul country that we all live in. It's all of the overexposure that happens in our family dynamic, that happens in our neighborhoods, that happens in the community and the world around us. And so what can we do to protect our own will, to protect our own beliefs, to protect our own desires? For so many people, we don't even know what our own desires are. We don't even know what we think is right or wrong anymore. We are just regurgitating what we are being told from those around us. And again, that could be in your home, in your small communities, in your neighborhoods, or from the world at large. I'm going to let out an exhale and just really using the power of my imagination to think about a world where, you know, your energy and your will is encapsulated in this beautiful protective bubble. So you can be floating around and bopping around and interacting with all of the other bubbles, but you're not going to be popped. Right? You're going to be protected. You're going to be able to be your own individual self, your own individual opinions, your own individual mind, so that you can use that power as an individual to, again, discern. That is the Justice card, right? The Judge card. It's like your discernment between what is right for you and what is wrong for you. What is, your belief system and what is somebody else's? What do I want to carry forward with me and what do I want to let go? What do I want to do and not do? So allowing ourselves to imagine a world where we are not so easily influenced. And you can say with me right now, I am not afraid of having my own mind. I trust in my own discernment. I don't know if you can hear Rosie. She's going to jump out to the backyard and bark right now. There's a lot of sirens going on. For some reason today, I'm just hearing lots of fire trucks going by today. It's been all morning. Okay, what else can we do to support us in becoming the discerning Justice card, taking on the energy of the Justice card, 17 or 2? That's what I thought. Chart 17. What is going on here? Belief in the necessity of the present moment. I love this. Belief in the necessity of being present with ourselves, to allow ourselves the time to know our own mind, to meditate on what is and isn't right for me. It's the pace of life that sometimes blocks us to this energy of the Justice card. Can you slow down long enough to be able to be in your justice energy? How can you be weighing a scale when you are constantly moving and the inertia is so high from the pace of life that your scale is going like this? Your scale is topsy-turvy, topsy-turvy. There is no weight and there is no balance in a world where the inertia is go, 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 go. You have to be able to slow down long enough to get into your justice archetype. If I'm going at the speed of this life and this world and this reality, I cannot quietly weigh what's on these two scales. I cannot really decipher the difference between, what this is and what that is and how it all balances out. Again, when the movement of life keeps things so topsy-turvy. So you can say with me now, I am willing to slow down. I am willing to step outside of the pace of life to allow myself to embody that justice energy. I'm willing to do the hard work to put on the brakes long enough to be able to embody discernment and wisdom. That's what I love about the Justice card. It is wisdom. That is that sword you see there, right? That sword that she is holding is thought. It is wisdom. It is consciousness. It is awareness. That's what that sword represents. The sword energy in tarot is air energy, and air energy is our wisdom, our intelligence, our awareness, our mind. And when we are going, again, at 1,000,000 miles an hour, we're not really in awareness. We're in escapism. We're in competition. We are in, the energy of perfectionism or accomplishment. I must go and accomplish, go and accomplish, go and accomplish. And you get to a point where you've accomplished so many things, you don't even know if you like those things you've accomplished anymore because you're just going so fast. And that is certainly a problem in American culture. And I don't know if it's a problem where you may be at watching this video. But even if it's not a problem culturally, you can ask yourself, is this a problem that I have been having, holding myself to the pace of life instead of holding myself to this higher standard of wisdom? And I know for myself, sometimes I have gotten trapped in relationships, dynamics, and careers where the expectation is to go and make a decision right now without thinking, just go and make a decision. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm the type of person that knows I need time to think this through, to weigh all of the options and all of the factors so that I can use my wisdom to make the best choice, so that the next choice and the next choice and the next choice after that are built on this foundation of wisdom instead of the foundation of pace. Somebody else's pace, and again, the pace of society and the world around us. So What else do we need to do to really clear the way for us to be able to slow down and lean into our own inner wisdom? We're coming back to that first chart we had, which is that 6C, which is this gross energy chart, this thing that is operating and pushing all of us, an expanded importance of self, an expanded sense that I am important, that is keeping us out of our wisdom. Keeping us out of our wisdom. This expanded sense of I'm important, I should be seen as this. I think the best judges are the most humble judges. The best teachers are the teachers that say, I'm not sure. This is just what I believe, and this is what I have known, and this is what I have observed. And it's not about status, and it's not about, again, competition. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about not only what is best for me, right? This important sense of self, or this, blown up sense of self and how important I am, but it's what is important for the world around me. I talked in my last couple of videos about this guilt and this shame I have for having a good life when other people are suffering. And that's valid and that's real. And all the things we looked at is good and important. And there are times where it's better to say, you know what, for the good of the collective, I'm not going to overconsume right now when the world is on fire and we know, it is negative for the collective when I consume more than I need. When I demand to have it all, and when I can't understand the beauty in sacrifice. Releasing us from that over-important sense of self, releasing us to not need to meet the demands of the collective while still caring about the collective, caring about the greater good of all versus our own wants and needs, because sometimes that's it, right? Sometimes what's blocking us to our wisdom is actually our own selfishness. Selfishness can block us to wisdom. You might think, oh, well, our wisdom comes from a place of selfishness, and that is not always the case. Important issues that must be experienced before we can return to return to the sense of I am that I am. I'm just asking for all of those lessons to be fast-tracked now. They don't have to be slow. They don't have to be painful. Fast-tracking all of us into that space of graduating into the next level of understanding and awareness, not being stuck back in, grade school when it comes to our understanding of the soul, the journey from lack of awareness into awareness, the journey into understanding our shadow, understanding our ego, so that we can integrate and become whole. And when we become whole, I believe that is when we are in our wisest self as a whole being. It's really difficult to be wise, as only this one slice of the pie. You can be smart about a certain subject matter. You can be smart about, this thing or that thing. But we are wise when we understand the wholeness of life, the wholeness of awareness, the wholeness of life's journey, and the wholeness of all parts of ourselves and all of the things that we are bringing to the table, the good and the bad, the light and the dark, our weaknesses and our strengths. There are certain times where I'm like, hey, this happened to me last week at work. I was like, I don't know that I am at a place because of the emotions that I have involved here, because of the weaknesses that I have, to be the one to make a decision on this subject matter. I feel I'm now biased. And I don't know that I can separate myself from being able to be a leader in this moment because of my own weaknesses and my own biases. And so, it's taken me a long time to be able to get to that place, because before my ego needed to be the one to be able to make the best choice all the time. And you should always rely on me. And I should always be the one to be able to, insert myself and find the perfect answer in any situation. And it's been really helpful for me to be able to say, step back and say, actually, I know my own shadow, and my shadow is way too forward in this moment. I am not actually able to see this clearly and be the justice energy in this moment. And if you can't always have justice energy in every moment, that's okay. You don't have to, but that's when you need to, again, get out of that important sense of self and put it out there that you need help, you need support, you need somebody else's wisdom. asking for somebody else's wisdom, saying, I got to step out of this one. I have a conflict of interest here, is also being in our justice energy. When you can say, I actually shouldn't make a judgment here. I am completely biased. I cannot be the one to make this decision or make this call. So, this is confirmation for anybody right now who has felt like you've been asked to make a decision that you don't feel like you can make. Ask for help, phone a friend, tell that person, that employer, that partner, listen, I can't. I am biased for whatever reason. This is poking on a trigger for me. This is poking on a wound. I am not feeling neutral. I am not feeling in my wisdom. I don't even have the knowledge to be able to contribute to this situation. Can I please, sit down on this one? And hopefully you're in a situation and environment where other people can step up and support you so that you can kind of back off and not have to get involved in that. Freedom is free is the name of this chart. What's going on here with our freedom is free chart? Blocks to our creation and our grace. The belief that creativity can only come through suffering or guilt when accepting help. That's so funny because I was just saying accept help. So we are blocked to accepting help. We are feeling like, the only way that I can be a creator, to be a dynamic part of this solution is by being the creator of the solution, when really this is saying it's okay to step back and ask for help. It's okay to say, I need support in this one. And yeah, you can still contribute, but maybe you are not the leader. Maybe you're not the main one in the dynamic. Oh, that was fun. Okay, what else can we do here to help us lean more fully into our discernment, to help us get out of this energy of, an important sense of self and really just leaning into our discernment? And again, whatever is blocking us to our confidence in making decisions, releasing us from self-doubt. The energy of self-doubt really can get in the way of our wisdom and our truth and our ability to discern. So our security and resources, this obsession with needing security and resources, our obsession with I must be safe and secure all the time, really can be a block to our wisdom and our discernment. And for some of us, that means we're staying in bad relationships because it makes us feel more secure. Being with that person means you have access to more resources, and that is not you acting in your wisdom. That is not you being discerning. That is you being obsessed with security and resources. I mean, how many people, I was going to say women, but I'm going to be cautious. How many people across all of time have stayed in a marriage because of security and resources? And how's your heart doing? Are you even able to be in your wisdom and your discernment anymore because you have traded your security and your resources for truth, honesty, and authenticity? That's a painful reality. And I'm not saying it's not hard to be alone. I'm not saying it's not hard to struggle for resources and security. Of course it is. But in my experience, for me anyway, it is harder to live an inauthentic life than to struggle for resources and security, which I have had to do for most of my life. Okay, so releasing us now from this obsession with security and resources, do we want to look at the root of what is creating that obsession? Yes. So what is creating this obsession for security and resources, and can we clear it now? That's interesting. This is our interesting chart. Resistance to God. Oh, it's so funny. Our resistance to the divine. Our resistance to trusting that spirit is looking out for us. Our resistance to having faith in a higher power, faith in our angels, faith in our guides, faith in God to look out for us. We think we have to fend for ourselves, and so we choose security and resources over trust and honesty. We don't have faith. We don't have trust. We resist God's influence and God's blessings, thinking that we have to create our own blessings. And that's just not the truth. We can relax into our faith, and faith is the willingness to move forward and believe that things will turn out okay, even when we don't have evidence of that yet. And when we let go, when we let go of our demand for security and resources and we lean into our faith, that is actually when creation, when we were talking about that just a moment ago, creativity and creation can flow. When we let go and have faith, it is hard to be a creator that doesn't have faith. I think most creators we know have faith that once they put pencil to paper or paint to canvas, they have the faith that something is going to come out that is worthwhile. Something is going to come out that needs to come out. The act of creation is an act of faith. And so, makes me think what the message I'm hearing is then the act of creation is an act of discernment, is an act of wisdom, is an act of that justice archetype. Being willing to be in your creative energy. That's a loop I wasn't expecting to get closed there. I was not expecting that to be a message that came forward. Okay, what else we got to do here? Again, our blocks to creation and grace is coming back up again. This is so fascinating to me that this is coming back up again. It's unexpected for me that this is coming up. I'm used to these charts. I've been using these charts since 2019, and this is not what I was expecting to have happen. So what has been blocking us to our creativity? And that's interesting too. That makes sense actually, because wisdom is the willingness to open yourself up to creativity. It's listening to the message of the universe. It's listening to the message of God, and that is creativity. It's not demanding. Wisdom is not demanding. Wisdom is opening yourself up to allow truth to flow through you, to allow honesty to flow through you. And what that means is allowing that truth and that knowing that truth and honesty change every single day. And it's part of why it's difficult for me to, do clearings that are like predictive in nature. Like if somebody tries to ask me like what will happen, what won't happen, I don't really feel like it's safe for anyone to do that kind of predictive work, because in every single moment, with every single decision that you make, the future changes. And so it's difficult to predict what will happen or what will come next. You can clear things that might happen. You can clear the energy of this thing happening. You can clear, energies that might influence the future in a certain kind of a way. But this is really interesting to me. What this says again is like God, divinity, is our wisdom, is our discernment. It's not us. Again, it's not that inflated sense of self. It's not self where true wisdom comes through. It is not Kate that is justice. It is justice that flows through me, that flows through you. It's not self, it's not ego. When we get out of ego, when we get out of our obsession with self, then we can lean into true creative life force energy. And creative life force energy is wisdom. Creative life force energy is discernment. Creative life force energy is the thing we can be the most confident in. Because the self is so colored and tainted by our experiences, our weaknesses, our shadow, our ego, our wounds, our traumas. But true creative wisdom, true creative life force is not tainted by any of that stuff. And so opening us up fully to the creative life force inside all of us, that again, is not about self. Justice energy is not about the self. It's about saying, I am a conduit for higher wisdom and higher information. That's all that I am. It has nothing to do with me. It is me it's just clearing myself of all my own stuff so that I can be a neutral conduit of wisdom. What percent are we open to being a neutral conduit of wisdom? 100%. What percent are we blocked to being a neutral conduit of wisdom? So let's do this as a final thing, and then I'm going to have to get going. I have a Reiki client here in just a little bit. Got to make sure I get myself time to drive over there. The Mystic Archetype. I love it. Okay. The Mystic Archetype. We're going to open ourselves up now to our Mystic Archetype. I embrace the Mystic Archetype now. I'm ready to own the Mystic Archetype. I'm ready to wear the mask, the uniform of the Mystic Archetype. I love the Mystic Archetype too, because again, it's not about the skin suit, right? It's not about your name, your job. It's about the energy and the life force that flows through you. It's about divine wisdom flowing through you and your own willingness to allow that divine life force to flow through you, that divine wisdom, that divine truth, that divine knowledge. When I'm doing SRT, none of this is me. And that's why sometimes things come out of my mouth and I'm like, I have no idea. That did not That did not come from me. That just comes from the fact that I, a while ago, opened myself up to mysticism, and my astrology is very very heavy in mysticism and all things unseen. But I open myself up now to the unseen. I open myself up now to believing in things without evidence. I open myself up now to divine wisdom and knowledge. I embrace the mystic archetype now. All right, everybody. Anything final here we can do in this clearing? It says, let's clear out some final icky energies. Then we'll do our cleanup, and then we will be on our way. Envy, interesting. We release ourselves from envy. Release ourselves from feeling forsaken. Beautiful. Releasing us all now from feelings of envy, from feeling forsaken. Again, envy is a very human thing, is not in our wisdom. And we are not forsaken. I think many of us have felt forsaken by God, forsaken by the universe. And a large part of that is we are just not tapped into the mystical side of life. So we're releasing ourselves from that now. And what are our new replacement energies? Intelligence, spiritual intelligence, mystical intelligence, wholeness, grace. Grace for ourselves and grace for this process as we, shift ourselves into our justice archetype, that justice energy. All right, everybody, take out another exhale. Let out another exhale. Finding yourselves right back here in this moment, grounded into the earth. Thinking about transforming identity, putting on that robe, that robe of the judge, the discerner, but also it's a very humble robe, right? It doesn't have to be, gold and velvet. It can just be, muslin, cotton, lacking in dyes or colors, but it's still just cloaked in that mystical wisdom. Okay, I hope that was fun for you in some way. It's always fun for me. Reach out if you have any questions, any concerns, any comments. Please leave requests. I love requests. I love doing work for folks that feels good to them and resonates for them. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time on another episode of Clearing with Kate.